minutes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. As I rise on the floor of the House, the Senate's about to begin debate on Trade Promotion Authority. That is Congress ceding all authority to the President to negotiate agreements secretly, bring them before these bodies, and say, take it or leave it, up or down vote, no amendments, ceding our constitutional authority. I hope the Senate turns him down. Now, the President went to Oregon last week, to Nike, who originated the idea of chasing cheap labor around the world and outsourcing U.S. production. He gave a speech. I wasn't invited. That was fine with me. And he went there to make fun of people like me who have fought these trade agreements for more than 20 years and been more right than wrong about the impact of these trade agreements. He talked about labor. Don't worry, this is going to put enforceable labor provisions on Vietnam, where you can't have a union, where you have child labor, prison labor, and you get paid 60 cents an hour. He says, we're going to fix all that. Well, I've read that chapter. I can't talk about it. It's classified. But I can say this. It will be as effective in dealing with the abuses. Well, Brunei's even worse than Vietnam. In Brunei or Vietnam, in terms of their labor and working conditions, as the recent U.S.-Colombia free trade agreement. And guess what? In Colombia, they still kill people who try and form unions, and we have no recourse against them. So it is not going to fix that problem. He says, well, I was in law school when NAFTA passed, and these people are just living in the past. Well, unfortunately, you're bringing the past to the future. This agreement has been vetted by 500 corporations real time. They can put it on a big screen in their boardroom, bring in all their lawyers and all their staff, and say, let's change these words. Let's make it look like the labor stuff is enforceable, but then we put this here, and it isn't. Now, I can read it, too. I can go to the basement of this building, and I can read it in secret, and I can't talk about it. So this is an agreement that's for labor, for the environment, for consumers, when it's being written in corporate boardrooms and then submitted to the special trade representative, who then puts that text into a secret agreement we can't see. No, the President is very, very wrong about that. He says we're wrong because we're making things up about undermining regulation, food safety, worker safety, even financial regulations. Well, we're not. This has something called investor safe dispute resolution, which means anyone can challenge any U.S. law, any foreign corporation, Japanese corporation, or Bruneian corporation can challenge a U.S. law in a secret tribunal staffed by lawyers who have no conflict of interest, no legal body underlaying their decisions, who one day represent corporations and the next day sit at judges. And he's right. They can't make us repeal our laws. You're absolutely right. He's absolutely right. But they can make us pay to keep them. We had to pay hundreds of millions of dollars to Brazil to keep subsidizing cotton in this country. Now, I wasn't into subsidizing the cotton, but it really irks me that we were subsidizing it here, and because of the power of the farm lobby, we paid Brazil hundreds of millions of dollars to keep that subsidy. The Japanese were killing dolphins to catch tuna. And we passed a law to just label dolphin-safe tuna so consumers could decide. We had a big campaign with Friendly Dolphins. The Mexicans won in the same process. They won a judgment against the United States of America. That was an unfair trade barrier. And we had to pay the Mexicans to not fish on dolphins. And then they appealed yet to another place, and they actually made us eliminate dolphin safe altogether. So yes, it can undermine our labor laws, it can undermine our environmental laws, and it can undermine our consumer protection laws when they are challenged by a foreign corporation. So the President is yet wrong again. We are not making stuff up. Currency manipulation. The Japanese wall. Every U.S. auto manufacturer knows about this. They manipulate their currency. So therefore, their vehicles are $8,000 cheaper than they would be if their currency was fairly traded. $8,000. And we're going to compete on a level playing field. And this agreement gives them full access with no tariffs to our pickup truck market, which means the end of pickup truck manufacturing in America. Those iconic Fords and Chevys, hey, forget about it. They're gone with an $8,000 advantage. We couldn't put currency manipulation into this and say that's not fair, because the Japanese didn't want it. But they're giving us a big concession. They're going to buy some American rice. Whoa, isn't that great? We're trading thousands, tens of thousands of auto jobs for a few jobs working in the rice fields in California. And that will only last until the Japanese challenge the rice farmers because they get subsidized federal water. They will ultimately be barred from the Japanese market because they'll lose in a secret tribunal under this ISDS provision. So finally, I've just got to wonder what the president is talking about when he says we're speculating, it's made up. Oh, Mexican trucks? I predicted when we had the agreement with Mexico they would force us to let Mexican trucks drive freely in America. Guess what? We lost that. And they put tariffs on our goods because they couldn't drive their trucks all around our country. There is great precedent here. He hasn't fixed a darn thing. He probably hasn't even read the agreement.
Time has expired. Chair recognizes the gentlelady from Illinois, Ms.